personal power, people positive, the community of connection. This is the Bob Jeswald Show.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
It is always a plan. It's a good plan. It's a good day to be back here. I'll tell you right now with Daniel Bellware. You know, folks listening, when you think of the word momentum, you know, it has so many ways of just describing stuff. But momentum means, come on, get in gear. Let's get going. Let's make a difference. And Daniel, you've been doing it for years. I mean, how old are you again?
I am 24 years old.
24 years old. This guy has lived, if you didn't know it, of course, he doesn't look, he looked 24, okay? But you act and behave like you've been doing this for 40 years. And since you were little, you started in Taekwondo, and momentum is wonderful. You took the concept of being an educator. You realized, you know what? I'm going to educate kids in an after-school program, combine it in a Taekwondo school, and you worked with the actual mentor, your teacher for years, Monica Bishop, to bring it to your own. And now it's Momentum Taekwondo, and you have a daycare. I don't want to use the word daycare. That's not the right word. It's not daycare. It's an after-school educational program with physical fitness, and you get the kids exercise and stuff. So, today this is a good day when you talk about Momentum Taekwondo with Daniel Bellware. Daniel, say something about why people need to know why this is a great concept. I love what you did.
So we actually just rebranded to the name Momentum, and we picked it because we are so big on changing lives. That's our biggest mission, is we want to change the lives of everyone who comes in. My life was changed by martial arts, by my instructor, by training. And so I want to be able to build momentum in all of our students and change their lives as well. My favorite definition, you were talking about it having multiple meanings and stuff like that. I'm a physics nerd as well myself. So
sure. My
favorite definition of momentum that I'm trying to get our instructors to get used to is the impetus gained by a moving object.
Love it. Physics 101. So
we want to build that force or that energy in our students' lives so that way they carry forward. Because, I as being in martial arts for as long as I have, which is, it's 2023. So yeah. I am coming up on 18 years, I think.
Gosh, it's incredible. As I said, it's because you're 24-year-old. You've been doing this more than half your life.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's incredible. At your age where you're at the highest level you can be in the type of Taekwondo martial art that you study. So what tell everybody the degree you're at. Yeah, seen you. I actually saw you when you earned your last degree. It was remarkable, breaking bricks on fire and cinder blocks, and it's unbelievable. Tiles that they were this thick, Lewis. I mean, they look like waffles, but they're and you did it with ease, and maybe just a little bit of blood on the one fingertip. That was it. But what degree are you?
I tested for my 6th degree black belt this past year, and so I earned that with our demonstration. I got to do my demo here in town, which was great. And yeah, the bricks on fire and the ice.
I forgot about the ice. Yeah. Oh, that was crazy.
And I tried to do it kind of poetic, like one hand was fire, one hand was ice. And, it was definitely something that I was building up to because I hadn't trained with bricks and such until that point, until I was getting ready. I decided, I was like, I want to light something on fire.
Yeah,
let's destroy it. And, hopefully no one gets mad at me. But
you know what's cool, though? Every time whenever I see you, I think it's remarkable because you're so far ahead of yourselves in a sense. I always just tell that to my kids. My kids learn from you, and one got out. And I wish Eva, she's our 4th degree black belt, and she's a big runner too. And it was one of those things where she kind of drifted away, but it's something that you don't lose. And I keep telling her that because I want you to get back because your true family is your Taekwondo family at Momentum, and what you do with the after-school educational program to enrich the lives of these young kids, to combine it together. Because you're an educator too,
Yeah, I was a high school teacher for 2 years, which was great. I loved it, but I wanted to focus more on the after-schoolers, which we started that program because Taekwondo is great. It's fantastic. Not a lot of parents are always thinking about it being something that their child needs. But what parents do need is after school care or summer camp, because everybody's got to work. In this economy, everyone has to work. And we want to provide a safe, secure, fun place for those kids to go while mom and dad have to go work over the summer, or anytime they're out of school during the school year. We do school year day camps and stuff like that. And our goal is to provide them a safe place to do that, but also instruct them in martial arts along the way, along with other sports. We're big on keeping them active. We want to keep them moving because that's so important. because they get so absorbed in technology.
Martial arts that I've seen and witnessed with Eva, in Sophia, but it has offered quite a way of giving them some sort of discipline. When you wonder what comes out of it, it's not about going to kick somebody's butt, and you're not going to go break up fights and throw them against walls. And although when you see you guys in action, it's incredible. You have that skill if you had to get out of a situation. But a lot of it is mental too. I mean, you teach the aspect of being, get out of a situation by using the right tone, not having to get physical. The physical part comes in, obviously, if it's life-threatening or if you feel like you're being attacked or whatever, or you got to get out if somebody's holding on to you. But I've noticed that they do have that. They're better than I was when I was growing up in the 80s, and then being a wrestler and stuff. Somebody said something, you're like, game on, let's fight, But today's a different world. But I really think that mental discipline, and then you got the physical aspect, because you guys do calisthenics, and there's physical with martial arts. And all that combined is a great thing. I mean, people watch MMF fighting and that. It's not about that. I mean, there's you could take it to any level you want, I'm sure. But what you do, and I've seen your creativity. This guy's amazing, guys, because you're listening to this. And Lewis, I mean, I'm telling you, Dan, and I'm not just doing this to blow smoke, but it's the truth. For such a young guy, I mean, over the years I've seen it. I mean, God, even she's going to be 18 this year, and she's been doing it since she was 4 and 5 or somewhere in that neighborhood. So they've been doing it so I've known you well over a decade, and watching you, it's incredible, just the creativity to come up with, what's the word? I'm not saying skits. That's terrible. It's not skits.
Forms.
Forms. Thank you.
Forms.
Musical forms. They would correct me. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like 3 for 3 here now. But these musical forms that you do, and they're humorous and they're fun, and everyone can't wait to see Daniel Bellware when you go to these tournaments, and whether they're down in Florida, in mid Georgia, LaGrange, down here in the Columbus, Georgia area. Fort Benning gets involved with us too. And it's so cool to watch, because everybody's like, okay, all these other Taekwondo schools are coming up, and we're in the same form, right? We're studying the same type of martial arts. There's different types. Different types.
We're all in the same lineage, if you will. So we kind of we're on the same branch, because there's so many different branches.
Yeah, because some people go, well, our form is this, and our form's that. The bottom line is, either way, but it's neat to see, because they practice it, and you learn, and you spar, and you're fully geared up, so nobody's like crushing their nose in and cracking a skull. Ideally. Occasionally, some people get hit pretty hard.
There's a bloody nose every once in a while. But
I see people actually, somebody fell down one time, like kind of knock them out a little bit. But those are things that happen. But it's just so neat to see, because it's empowering. The point is that and you mentioned it, every parent, we're in a culture now that people got to work, and you want a safe place to put these kids after school. So you kind of combine the Momentum Taekwondo school with next door, and then you have a place across the river too in Alabama, and then you got family members kind of helping you out a little bit. Is that still a go?
We're working
on it. Okay, I'm jumping the gun here. But I knew
it's coming. We're coming into Phoenix City soon.
You're gonna do it. I know he is. Yeah. So if anyone, you guys are listening right now, and you're kind of excited about this idea, like, okay, maybe you're not a martial art teacher, but this could be the niche on this podcast that anybody is to do something like this. Is this an idea that you just came out? Did you see this done before, or how'd you come up with this?
As far as doing the after school and everything. So one of my good friends, Doug, out in another city in Georgia, he runs a martial arts school. He's run it for a little over a decade. And he started an after-school program with some coaching from a business coach. And he introduced me to that business coach, and he kind of was like, oh, hey, for this reason and this reason, it's probably a good idea to pair you up with like an after-school program, because you've got this art that you do great. And, he doesn't tell me how to teach my art. He has his own separate art. But he's like, if you add on an after-school and summer camp, one, you're providing a service that parents need. Two, you're providing stability for yourself and for your team members. So if there is, as fluctuations come up and down through the seasons and through the economy, as a business, you're going to be a little bit more stable, and you're going to be able to pay your team consistently. So I was listening to this guy talk about it. I was like, you know what, Dwayne, that's a pretty good, his name is Dwayne Spires. He's awesome. I was like, that's a pretty good idea, Dwayne. And I jumped onto his coaching program, and I mean, that's totally changed my life, because they don't just coach us on after school and summer camp. They coach us personally on how to elevate as a person.
Good.
Particularly with our mindset, with our health and things like that, because they're strong believers that, all right, in order for you to be the best leader that you can be the best instructor you can be the best CEO you can be, you have to elevate yourself, and then you have to lift your team up with you. So I'm sitting here, I'm growing myself, and then I'm able to grow my team, and each one of them is able to grow as many kids as I would individually. So I'm over here getting to help educate these young adults into becoming the best versions of themselves, and they're passing that on to the kids that they work with.
Brilliant. I mean, it seems so easy, doesn't it? And there's so many people that are in the workspaces that a lot of times out of insecurity, they're not adopting that space to be in, or that language of saying, build. It's about better yourself so you could be the best leader, and everybody's going to follow in the programs of success. It really is. Where do you see it at this point now? I mean, you got to have some, some of the folks that you've been teaching a while too. You got folks that run the school when you're not there. I mean, there's a lot of things with this. This is something that anybody can adopt, I'm thinking, to any kind of business in a way. It's like a business model, if you will.
The coaching company that we're with has they coach members across the country. They also have members in Canada, in Europe, but this applies in almost every single market. I mean, they've got people in they coach in a town in Maine that's got 1,500 people, and they're rocking this system of martial arts and after school and summer camp. And then they're coaching people who are in New York City doing the same thing. So this works regardless of the market, wherever you're at. And it's definitely been working for us, and it's giving us the opportunity to spread our message and spread our teachings to more people, because a lot of these people who are in after school are in it because that's a necessity, but they're getting all of the lessons that we're teaching in martial arts because of it.
And they're specific with martial arts. Is there a link for or is there something we can provide a link of the school, or is this something they're open, you pay them so much money and then they come in and they kind of like your guidance counselor, they're your like what I was gonna say,
as far as my business coach? I mean, I can send you their way.
But is this something you would share with anybody, or is this something it seems to be, because I'm getting that feeling as I'm talking to you, this is kind of personal. It's like this is your own. You don't want to kind of give the secret, tip the hat too much, or
I would love to. Would love to invite anyone outside of Columbus to do this. Columbus is my town.
It's your market. You don't want to give everybody.
I'm gonna keep a hold on this, and they're great about that. They have like territory rights and stuff like that with it, because they don't want to coach people who are in competition. Exactly.
Don't be putting a McDonald's next to a Chick-fil-A, which is next to a Zaxby's, which is next to Chick Salad Chick. I mean, I don't get that. You got all these chicken places all in right one corner. It's like, I know they got a little bit different menus, but still.
You got to have a chicken place next to Chick-fil-A, so that way when they're closed, that other place can get all the business on Sunday.
That's how it works. Because I remember a place in Las Vegas, they had Einstein's Bagel that does great coffee, by the way. I used to like their coffee because you can get their coffee in a bagel. This was in Vegas. And then next to it, you had a Starbucks. But then they became like all one. So you figure if you go in one, well, I'll go over here and get a bagel. But now Starbucks is like, everyone's competing for those morning breakfast things, the egg white bites and all this. Like, everybody's got them, from Dunkin' Donuts to whatever. I'm giving all these plugs here. I'm okay with this, Lewis. This is not sponsored. I'm not making any money from this. I'm like, for God's sake. But the thing is with Momentum, and I get that, it's there. Maybe we can share something for people outside the market, but whoever clicks it may be local too. But yeah, you don't want somebody coming in and saying, hey, this is my contact. But if they would regulate it properly, you're thinking about going across the river, 100 miles away, it's fine. 50. I don't know if there's like a diameter or circle they draw with a compass and go, here, Daniel, this is your territory.
There's something like that. I don't know their formula for it, but they've got something.
Good, because that would be fair. So you got to pay these guys to come in. They're like consultants, really.
Yeah.
So is it a lot of money, or is it something, what are we looking at roughly?
It's an investment, but it is 100% worth the investment.
Okay.
I mean, our after school program started in 2021. We started later on in the year, in April, which is a terrible time to start an after school program.
Sure.
By the way,
the school's coming in, and so people know in the deep south, school year's over in May.
But we started. We had 5 after schoolers. Our first summer camp we were in, we had up to 45 every single week, and then we started our next school year with 30 right off the bat, and we ended with about 60. Wow. This past summer and this school year, we've had about 80 kids every single week, which is about our maximum capacity at our current location.
So that was my next question. So the turn away has got to be difficult, wouldn't it be? I mean, or do you have different shifts? Do you have?
We can put people on a waiting list, but it's also what's inspired us to try to look at future additional locations, because we service 3. We pick up from 3 elementary schools. Anyone can drop off if they apply and they want to do the program. But we only pick up from 3 elementary schools right now, and we want to be in other areas where we're closer to where they live. Because I don't want to, we're in Midland. I don't want to go and pick up somebody from River Road Elementary and then have them drive halfway across town just to go back home the other way.
Just so
I'd rather have something closer to them.
And
so
that means you have transportation.
yes.
So how does that go into place? You got to get licensed. You got to get, I guess you got to have, is there any certifications and things? Plus you're an educator. Does that help because you're the educator, so you can kind of delegate underneath to the people after school with the kids? Because you're doing, again, it's not a daycare. I want to make that a point to everybody. And then you got the school, Momentum's right next door. It's in the same building. And then you provide transportation. This is incredible. It seems like that would just not be that easy, but you make it look seamless.
So it's just all about the systems, which, I mean, that goes for anything in life. It's systems. We have a system for our bus loading and unloading, who does what, where they go, our systems for what they're doing throughout the day. It's very structured, very organized. It's really easy to teach to team members because a lot of our coaches that we bring on, they're not martial artists, and that's totally fine. We don't ask them to be. I've got a bunch of martial artists that are happy to teach these after-schoolers, and then the coaches can just come in and help with classroom management. And actually, a lot of them like to do the classes with them. They're like, I learned how to front kick today, Coach Daniel. And I'm like, that's awesome, Cole, good job. But it's just all about systems and following our systems, keeping everything how it is super helpful for us. It's beneficial for us. It makes it where it just flows so easily.
Is it a profitable business? I mean, right away, I mean, it's like anything, it takes time, but could you see profit coming in after a while? I know things take time, it's like
it is. So because
overhead, you need overhead.
Oh yeah. I mean, and the biggest thing is, I mean, whenever you purchase a vehicle or you're leasing a space, that costs a lot. Insurance is a lot. But it is a profitable business for sure, 100%. I mean, I was a high school teacher and I was able to leave that and do this full time now,
there you go.
Which is fantastic. And I'm paying myself about what I was able to make as a teacher, which, as I don't have any kids of my own, of course. So it's very affordable for me to live.
But you're like the big brother. I mean, the kids, they just attach to you. Anybody listening to him, I mean, Daniel's unique, your whole family is your sister. I met I haven't met your parents yet, but they did a damn good job with you guys. I mean, they really did. All of you guys, you're just very level-headed kids. And you're not a kid, you're a young man, but I mean, I think back when you were a teenager. I mean, I remember you were a teenager, and younger. So, and then now here you are, 24 years old, running your business, profiting enough that you can, parlay it from your job as a school teacher. They need to pay school teachers more, in my opinion, but
yes, they do.
They do. But benefits-wise, of course, you may not have the benefits as you did as a school teacher, but that's something you can bring in later. But it's rewarding. You're 24 years old. You're healthy. I mean, right now, but I mean, that's going to come, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. We just made the shift. We switched around some payroll stuff as far as our system that we were using, and we just started a retirement option for our team members. Anyone who's been with us for over 6 months they have access to a retirement plan that will match a certain percentage that they put in. And I'm sitting here like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Who are these consultants? I can't. I know just to say, I promise I won't compete against you. I'm just going to try to use the same thing and adopt it some other way. But they're not. Are they just specific and oriented again towards the martial art business into that, or could it be any business? Like, say, Bob Jeswald has a weather clinic after school, exercising the brain, and then after that we can, do something. Or
I'll have to float weather after school with them. They primarily work with martial arts and dance schools, gymnastics gyms. That would be the relative thing. So anybody listening in gymnastics, give me another one. Gymnastics, dance, tumbling, cheer, martial arts. They love working with all of those folks.
How about this? If we leave a link, how's this, Lewis? I'm trying every little attack mode here that I could get you, that we can get a link, but maybe contact you. Then you can delegate and say, I'll let you know where are you calling from? From Canada? I'm calling from Europe. Then no problem. You can go ahead. I'll give you that.
Get you my buddy.
I'll give you my buddy here to get you going, Dwayne here. But that's kind of how it works. I mean, it's very interesting. And I think anybody who can read between the lines, somebody in that consulting field that sets these things up. Because again, like you said, it would work in New York, which is going to work in California. It's going to work in Columbus, Georgia. It can work in Salisbury, Maryland. It can.
And these people, I mean, they've been coaching for the last 8-9 years. They coached a lot of these schools through COVID, through the lockdown, through everything like that.
You got creative. You were teaching my kids Zoom.
I know. I was thinking about that earlier. Yeah. I was like, I taught like 20 private lessons on Zoom to Eva and Sophia.
Yeah, and to keep the business going. It's great. I know I can just tell. I'll just tell people that there's nothing better to know in the back of your mind that your child can defend themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is they never really had to use it. There's times I used to think, why the heck didn't you use it? But again, it's the discipline with what you teach in that martial art more than kicking and punching and breaking boards and breaking somebody's nose. You know, it's not about that. It's to see them be able to either let stuff roll off their back and don't take it so personal, I think, because knowing that you have that skill is a confidence booster. So if that confidence is there on your shoulder and you're thinking, well, they can say, you can look at them and say, because those are like the movies. You see somebody like Clint Eastwood and somebody's just razzing them. Like the guy I was thinking, Enforcer, I think it was, and he goes in the bank, you pig, and he calls him all these things. He starts kicking. He gets him on the ground. Clint Eastwood and kicks him, makes him spread his legs open, and they're beating him down, calling you, and he's real mellow about it. He goes, okay, and he comes back and he goes, okay. But that's what it is. It's a confidence, and yet, you know, you're building up new kids that are coming after school to do this. What do they do when they're in this class? You wanted to say something.
I was going to jump in, and I was going to say, if you know, and this is something that we talk to our students about is, you know, in a bullying situation, or if someone tries to pick a fight with you, they're not in a good place. They are, and if someone's going to start a fight with you, guess what? They're less confident than you are. That's why they need to start a fight, because they need proof that, oh, I can do this, because they don't have that internally. Whereas all of our students, they have enough confidence internally that they don't need to show it off to people. They don't need to show, oh, I can do this. I had a young man not too long ago who's he's been with us for a couple of years. He's a teenager, and he had a small altercation at school, and like he was telling me the story, and because his mom called me that day, like she came to pick him up. Oh, such and such was in a fight, and I was like, all right. I was like, I'm gonna talk to him when he comes into class tonight and find out kind of what happened. And he was like, oh yeah, and it was. I mean, he was a young man, and there was a girl who thought he had said something, started getting agitated, and she like charged at him, and he just like sidestepped, and she charged at him again. He sidestepped again, and then she charged at him, and he just like kind of stopped her and like pushed her back, and that was the fight. And that's what mom got a call about. And it was like, well, and I was told, I was like, I'm not mad at you. You did exactly what you're supposed to.
Yeah,
you avoided, and then you deflected, and you said, hey, like, we don't need to do this. Like, chill out.
Good for you.
100%. I'm loving that. I'm seeing, you know, our students are definitely having this confidence, and are presenting it as they go out in a manner of they're not having to be an aggressor. They're not trying to be an aggressor.
Future law enforcement officers. Could you see that? I could see it. Could you see it? I mean, what a nice template to start that young and being able to have that kind of level of discipline. I keep using the word discipline because I always see that as that. I think it's a different time. And it's great that they can look up to you. That's the other thing, too. They do look up to you. You know, they feel, you know, you're like big brother, you know, and there's some camaraderie with this guys that are listening. I mean, I'm telling you, you know, you're hearing us talk, is that this camaraderie is something that I've never seen before. It's like all family, and it's like nobody's better than anyone else. Everyone's encouraging one another. There's so much pretentiousness, that's a word, in some sports that are out there. Mm-hmm. And I have my one daughter's, and she's the one that I'm talking about. There's two of them that you taught, but the one who stood with it all the way till current time right now, and she's going to come back this summer. We're going to make sure, but she just had to pull away with her schoolwork and everything. But your family, I always tell her, I said, remember where you came from. Listen to me. This is where you came from. Those are your people, Eva. You know, this is your people. Sophia kind of wanted to try to do something different from her sister. I still believe it, but she went into volleyball. Nothing against volleyball, incredible sport, but there's something about that sport. In a softball, and now it's going to be flag football, because we thought at first it seemed like, well, this will be good, but now it's becoming very politicized. I'm going to say what it is. Well, heck, I don't even care. I have nothing to lose. Great coaches. I love the people. It's nothing against you guys personally listening, but there's something there, and the girls are catty, they're pretentious, nasty, and the coaches know some of these girls are being nasty or good. They can't do it, and they can't mess with them really, although they say they could, because moms are heavily involved. The booster club moms, PTA. But when it comes to cross-country runners, everybody, because of an independent kind of sport, you're individual against one another, everyone participates. None of this crap that you play one thing and then you sit out the next because your parents didn't raise the most money. I mean, it really is. Oh, she did great. She hit 2 things, but you're out the rest of the game. You go to a tournament, volleyball, not taekwondo, and taekwondo's another thing. You're involved. You call the shots. I want to be in this, you know, Mr. Bellware. I want to be in this. I want to be in that. Sure. You want to be in it? Come on. I'm going to help you out. We're going to get there. So there's the encouragement. You're participating.
Oh, yeah.
Where these other sports you're not. And that's what I liked about it. I mean, one of the reasons why I was drawn to it, and I wrestled in high school, and it was like we had like, played ice hockey. There's a team element there, and you're all involved. If there are house leagues in that, I'm not talking about if you're a JV or varsity player where that might be a little bit more strategy because it's about winning. I get it. But there's something about those kind of sports that everybody's involved and the people are real. I'm just going to be, it is what it is. You go there with you guys are real. Kind.
Appreciate that.
Gentle. No, and even their kids, they grew up with, they always say, Eva, they ask how they're doing. I love Mr. Profit's story. I think he's on your, I would say he's on your payroll or he's part of it now or is he whatever.
Yeah.
And his story's really remarkable, and he was picked on as a child and he has a disability, but, and it changed his life around. It certainly did. So, but again, all the stuff that you guys did with my kids have made a huge difference. It taught them so many different values. So, if anybody gets involved in that, it's not about just going in there, well, they can't do it, this and that. It's so neat to see these young kids start with no cotton, and now they're already like black belts, and they're,
it does help when the parents are super supportive of it as well.
Yeah, sure. And I know people come out, and it's like with anything, you're right. I guess I'm just passionate about it in that respect, but the idea is really, really good. So the mission, again, if you were to say the mission is one lump sum, Momentum, what is your mission statement if you tell people?
This is a great question because I built a mission statement when we changed over to the new brand, which is our goal is to empower our children to grow, or I should say our students, because we teach adults too, empower our students to grow physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially into the best versions of themselves.
Could I write that? You got a pen and paper, Louis? He's going to reach down. I'm writing this down because this is exactly how I'm going to promote this podcast. Mm-hmm. Anybody listening would want to know. And I think people are going to get some ideas out of this. I mean, there's got to be, you hear the paper tearing?
Yes.
Listen, it's ripping right in front of us. Ripping the paper. We're going to put it on there. I guess I could have just recorded you on my phone and rewrite it, but I like to write it down. He knows that because that's probably, there we go. So Louis, you're listening to this since, and you're how old now? 21? 22? 22. So from a 22-year-old, Daniel's got 2 years on you. I mean, when you think of this, when you grew up, did you encounter anything you wish you would have had this kind of background or anything like this? Or tell us about your experience.
I grew up liking a lot of, combat sports and everything. So I did wrestling. It's not the same, obviously. But
it's grappling. I mean, you do a little bit. And Daniel, you introduce something. You get your sister teaches something like that, doesn't there? Somebody when your siblings
teaches some baritsu.
Yeah, which is good. You got to have that. You get on the ground. I used to try to get my kids to do it. They're just like, you just can't kick and punch all the time. You get on the ground. What are you going to do? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I do wish I grew up with something like this. Because I kind of got stuck in the whole. I mean, I was glad top of class, everything. But I wish I did more than just school. Mm-hmm. Like, I mainly just did band in school. So
yeah, to get it. So
that's good development too.
Yeah,
but
I like that.
No offense to band, but
yeah, that's right. But let's parlay into that then, because what he just said. I mean, what's the structure for the kids when they do come in? You bring them in the bus. So parents who drop them off after school. What kind of
for after school? So they come in and they do we pick them up or they get dropped off. They come in, we check them in. So mom and dad get a notification. Oh hey, little Susie's here, little Sarah's here, little Johnny's here. That way they know we got their child. And then they break out into their different age groups. So we split them up entirely by age for the after-school program because you don't want your fifth graders in with your kindergartners because there's just topics of conversation that are very different and behaviors and sizes are just, they don't match. So we split them up entirely by age and then they rotate through their daily activities. So the younger ones go and do snack time first. Because school's a long day. They are starving.
So and providing food, you provide snacks.
Well, we ask them they can pack it, or we have a couple that they can buy for like $1 from our snack shack.
Okay, gotcha.
But just give them a little bit of energy because we're going to keep them active for the rest of the day. Yeah. And then after snack time, they split up into their we call it black belt time, which is when they kind of work on, because black belts are studious. We're big on, we talk about black belt behavior with them. We want you to stand like a black belt. We want you to sit like a black belt. We want you to study like a black belt, because black belts are studious. They're leaders. They're examples. And so, I mean, I could take a whole line of 25-year-olds who are 25-year-old children who are jumping around. I mean, it might work with 25-year-olds too. I don't know, but I could take
these days. I would say, yeah, I could. Yeah,
I could take them and say, all right, let me see who's standing the best like a black belt. And immediately they'll straighten up. They'll stand totally still. Their hands by their side. They're not talking. They're not joking anymore. And I've got one little boy. I love him. He's super serious. Look at his face, and it's great. And because we're big on promoting black belt behavior, because we tell them all, hey, one day you're going to get to be a black belt. You're going to test for it. You're going to work hard. You're going to get there. So they do their black belt time where they have time to do their homework, or if they don't have homework, which a lot of our elementary schoolers don't always get homework. We have some other stuff to kind of work their brain. We don't want them on tablets or on cell phones at this point in time, because they're going to be on that at home.
Thank you, Lord. Jeez.
So there's puzzles, or sometimes we have some. We have cycle homework sometimes for our Taekwondo students. Your girls have done it. And they have to do stuff regarding martial arts or whatnot. So they have some type of worksheet to do. And then they rotate into their sport, which 2 days out of the week it's Taekwondo, because we don't want to kill them and do it 5 days a week. That's a bit much. But they do Taekwondo twice a week. They do hip-hop dance twice a week. We actually have one of our coaches who used to compete as a dancer.
That's awesome.
So she comes in and she teaches them some really cool hip-hop. She was teaching me some moves, too, the other day. I was like, oh, I got this. I don't have flow at all.
I know, but your martial art, especially your form, is phenomenal. So too bad you just can't apply that. But that could go to one
to the small joints. But I can get it for big dynamic movements, cartwheels, aerials, stuff like that. And then they also do tumbling once a week. So they do whatever the daily sport is. Which it's all structured with we build our lessons with their brain in mind. We've taken a new approach recently in the last couple of years of teaching with the child's brain in mind, of where they are physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially as far as their stage of development. And so our classes are geared towards, all right, because your 5-year-old's going to learn totally differently from your 5th grader. Your 10, 11-year-olds, they don't learn the same. That's why they're not in the same grade at school, right? So our classes are structured differently for them. So that way we kind of focus on what they need to do. Which for our 5-year-olds, that means, maybe they're a little more physically active. They don't sit down as much, and not that we want the 10-year-old sitting down either, but they can listen a little bit better when we're describing the breakdown of a technique, of a kick, or of a trick, or something like that. And then after that, they have a little bit of supervised free time where we encourage them to be active again. We don't want them on the devices too much, so we've got some creative toys like Jenga blocks, Legos, Lincoln Logs. You would be surprised how many kids don't know how to do Lincoln Logs.
You know Lincoln Logs, it just look at where the little notch is, and you connect that notch where the other one is concave, and you stick them together. I love Lincoln Logs as a kid.
I loved them too.
Love Legos too.
I've had to teach 5-year-olds how to use them though, because they don't know.
Because they don't. It's all this stuff. It's all electronics. It's all on the phone. On the phone.
Or we take them outside and do a little bit of some outdoor. If the weather's nice, which now that it's warming up, that's a lot more feasible. And then they just kind of chill out the last 30 minutes of the day, wait for mom and dad to pick them up. They've got all their supplies together from the school day. And then they go home, and half the time they fall asleep in the car on the way home because they had such a great day with us that they passed out.
That's fantastic, and that's a great way. So hopefully you didn't pass out listening to this, everybody. I learned a lot here today. There's great things you can do for your kids. If you're looking for some kind of momentum in their life, Daniel Bellware is a great example to see how you can do just that. And I'm so happy that you came in here today, dude. It's great talking to you. Oh, yeah. You come in anytime. We need to just keep chit-chatting about this stuff. This is great. But
I'm down anytime.
Now that you're dominating the market, who else could come on in and kind of come in your inner circle? But what you got the right plan going. And the mission statement is perfect. Say it one more time for everybody.
So it is.
As I write it down, I scribble it down. Go ahead.
To empower our students.
Yep.
To grow physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially into the best versions of themselves.
Awesome. And on that note, you did a good deed, my friend. And thank you for all the help you did with my children over the years. Great job.
My pleasure, Bob.
Dan Bellware, everybody. Daniel Bellware, the man, the myth. Incredible. The momentum is yours. So all you have to do is embrace it, take it on, and check out places like Momentum Taekwondo. Why not? We got a link there from Momentum Taekwondo. And if you want to reach out to Daniel Bellware, we'll give you that number too, so he can strategically place you at the right space with his contact.
I can.
We're still trying to get that. Yeah. If I what is it? Yeah, I'll have to kill you if I give you that. If I give you that number, if you try to find out, if you tell anybody. Okay, let's go right to WRBL.com. You can see us streaming. You can see Daniel. You can see us chit-chatting here. Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Hey, wherever you get your podcast, where you like to shop for it, it's there on YouTube now. we got you covered. It streams at 7 p.m. Eastern time, or you can get it, of course, on the website or in these places when you need them the most. And then social media will attach it to you for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You guys have a good one. Thanks for checking us out this week with Momentum Taekwondo. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Bob.